Welcome back, everybody. Welcome, and it's a Michigan basketball video. It's been a long time, but my goal is to make a bunch of these in the near future as the season winds up and as things settle in. Before we start on this video, which is going to be about Michigan's roster, let's just recap what has happened to the Michigan basketball team in the past couple months after the season ended. It has been I don't know. I don't want to say terrible, but it's not been a great stretch for Michigan basketball. Losing Musa Diabate and Caleb Houston to the NBA draft, they each went in the second round. Not bad decisions by either of those guys. You go if you're going to get drafted. And then also the shocker was losing Frankie Collins to transfer. He transferred in May to Arizona State. So that was a big blow to Michigan because Frankie was probably going to be locking up the point guard position. His decision to leave was surprising to many and left Michigan with a hole at the position, which they have since filled. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, back to Michigan. Brandon Johns left. He went to VCU. Not a shocker there. He didn't have a great season, didn't play a ton, saw his role steadily reduced over the course of the year when Juwan decided to go away from him in the starting lineup, put Musa in there, and Brandon really was ineffective off the bench for much of the year. He gave us a good career at Michigan, and I salute him. He's now at VCU, not important to this current roster. So here's what we're looking at right now. This is Michigan's current set-in-stone 2022-2023 basketball roster. Gone are Eli Brooks, Devontae Jones, Houston Diabate, stalwarts of last season's team. Eli and Devontae graduated, and Caleb and Musa did declare. So those four guys, four starters, are gone. A lot of production to replace, I will say. And let's see who the projected starters are right now and how those guys will fare in replacing that production. So here's what I have. Here's my projection. This isn't set in stone or anything like that. But right now, starting point guard, senior, transfer from Princeton, where he was an all-Ivy player, one of the best players in the Ivy League for the final couple of seasons of his career. This is Jalen Llewellyn. He's from Alabama, 6'2", 180. Fills out the point guard position really well for Michigan. This is a really good get. He's a very good shooter. Shot around 38% from three. Scored about 15 points a game. He's more of a combo guard than a pure point. He's not as skilled a passer as previous Michigan point guards have been, but he's a very good scorer, very good attacker, and a skilled offensive player, and also good size for the point guard position for Michigan on defense, and experienced. So I think that was a really good get for Michigan to get Jalen Llewellyn to fill in that point guard role once Frankie Collins declared his intention to transfer. Shooting guard's more iffy. Shooting guard, this could go a number of different ways. You could possibly have Jalen Llewellyn here and Doug McDaniel starting at point guard. You could possibly have Jet Howard here. You could even realistically have Isaiah Barnes here, although I think that's unlikely. I think Kobe Buffkin will get this role, at least to start the season. He played last year. He was in the rotation. Struggled a little bit. He had high expectations. He was a top 50 player in the country coming in, but he played and he played hard, and I'm glad he got his minutes. Shooting was just tough. He shot 22% from three, 38% overall. Had many games where he didn't score. But he also hit some big shots for Michigan and showed capability on defense. He will need to improve on both areas in both sides of the ball, but I do think there is potential here for Kobe to have a breakout year. I've seen a lot of talk from Hunter Dickinson, from Juwan, from other people around the Michigan team that Kobe is expected to really take a step forward this season. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. I think he showed flashes last year. The stats aren't really pretty, but he showed flashes. He's a talented player, good size for his position. I wouldn't be shocked if Kobe Buffkin has a really nice sophomore season. Now, small forward, another kind of interesting position for Michigan. Losing Caleb Houston after expecting he would return for, I'd say, a month or two, but he eventually declared, and he will need to be replaced. He was a very good shooter and a good defensive player, and really gave Michigan good, solid minutes and very consistent minutes, I would say, even if the play wasn't always as consistent as his minutes were. And it looks like there's a number of ways we could go here. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but I think Jet Howard will get this role. He's a freshman. He's Jawan's son. Played for IMG Academy, one of the premier teams in the country, and also showed out at AU. But he is a really good shooter. That's his calling card. Off ball, catch and shoot guy, can really fill it up. He was really, really solid from distance everywhere he's been. He has a nice stroke. He's also nice and tall for his position and has shown good defensive ability. So I think Jet wins the role. He's the most talented player. He was a borderline 5-star, but he was a 4-star, top 40 player in the country. 6'7", 220. This guy's legit. And I think he gets the starting role immediately as a freshman. Power forward, Terrence Williams' his role to lose here. Terrence could theoretically play the small forward, but then I don't know who would play power forward. And I think Terrence plays the 4 to start the year. Had a really nice end to his season last year, honestly. Struggled throughout the start and middle of the year, but he came around and hit a lot of big threes, especially for Michigan when we really weren't shooting well in games. He played good defense. He was a really nice spark off the bench, particularly to end the year and in the Big Ten tournament and in crucial games down the season stretch. And I think he will need to take on a much larger role this year after the departure of 4 starters, a couple of key bench guys. I think Terrence Williams needs to really step up, and I think he's capable of doing so. Good leadership qualities. He's a loud guy. He's a very positive player, good attitude, good talent. He can shoot, he can play the mid-range, and he can drive. So I think Terrence will have a better year and take on much larger role for Michigan this season at the starting small or power forward position. And then at center, not much needs to be said here. You got Hunter Dickinson, best returning center in the Big Ten, and one of the best returning players in the country. He's going to need to be massive this year. I'm not going to lie. He's going to need to be really big for Michigan's chances because looking at this starting lineup, no one else in this starting lineup started last year. No one else had huge minutes for Michigan last year. This is going to need to be Dickinson. He's going to need to play well. He's going to need to shoot well from 3, which he showed he could do last season. He's going to need to put up 20 and 10 consistently for Michigan to have a really good chance at doing well, making the tournament, making a run in the tournament next year. And I think he's capable. I'm glad he came back. The NIL definitely had a factor in that. He's now able to make some money, which he deserves. And the NBA wasn't really open to him. I don't know. We'll see what happens after this year, but it's kind of debatable whether Hunter fits in the modern NBA, and that's a debate for another day, but he is at Michigan. He will be really good. The reserves. This is going to be tough. I don't know who's getting the minutes here. I'm guessing the guys I listed at the top, I think, are getting the minutes, but let's just dive in here. First off, you've got Dug McDaniel. Diminutive. He's 5'11", and that's generous. Out of Paul VI in Virginia, he's really good. He fell in the recruiting rankings mainly due to his size. Nothing he did really play-wise to merit the fall other than just not grow. He's a small dude. Michigan's had small point guards, and those guys have been really good for us. And Dug McDaniel has those capabilities. He's a really nice passer, good driver, good ball handler, really quick, dynamic player, very exciting young guy. And I think 100 was too low for him. I know he's small, but I think 100 was too low for him. I'm thinking he gets minutes this year at the backup point guard position. Maybe not a ton of minutes. I think Llewellyn will hold down that role pretty nicely, but I do think McDaniel gets minutes and is an important player for Michigan this season. Isaiah Barnes, he stuck around. I'm shocked. He stuck around. He didn't play at all last year. I thought he was transferring for a large majority of the season, but he stuck around, and I think he's going to get minutes now. Probably not a ton, but he's a guy who's tall, who has the intangibles, good shooter, good practice player, good attitude. He's 6'7", and he went to my high school, so that's another bonus. But yeah, Isaiah Barnes, he's going to get minutes, and I think he could do something nice with them. I'm not going to say he's going to be a key guy, but you will see Isaiah Barnes in action this year, probably on a regular basis. All right, so small forward Joey Baker, one of the last guys added to this puzzle. we needed to add someone after Caleb Houston's departure who could shoot, who was a veteran presence, and Joey Baker fits those criteria. He had a 4-year career at Duke where periodically he would get in the starting lineup, periodically he would get good minutes, but for the most part he didn't play a ton. But he always showed good shooting touch. Last year I think he was 40% on threes. He can shoot from anywhere really and has a nice looking stroke, good free throw shooter, good leader. Definitely not a starter for a Big Ten team, I would say, or at least a high Big Ten team. But he can fill a role here. He can be a good shooter, good veteran presence for the Michigan, and I think we needed someone like that. I'm glad he chose to come here. I think he will get 10, 15 minutes a game off the bench, try to hit some threes, try to draw some fouls. But yeah, I think offensively that was a good pickup for Juwan. Now, the other small forward off the bench is Jace Howard. Really, really good energy. He is like his dad in that regard. He is so high energy and really a great leader. He'll be a coach one day, no doubt about it. He is very raw in terms of skill. Not the most refined player, not the smoothest player, but he really puts a lot of effort into defense and gets rebounds, makes hustle plays. He's not going to put up 20 points a game, but he's going to give you a lot of good moments and a lot of important moments defensively and on the glass. And for his size, he's a really big player. He plays bigger than he is. And I think he will be a key player this year off the bench. Maybe not scoring the ball, but making the right plays and getting good defensive energy on. And I think, he's going to get minutes. Now, these guys are all interesting down here. I'm not sure who's getting minutes out of this group. I think the best candidates are Tarris Reed and Youssef Khayat. Let's start with Khayat. Out of Lebanon, he played in France last year. He was on a French team, and he averaged 17 and 7 rebounds. And he played a lot, and he shot 38% from three. He's a tall guy. So that was good to see. He's 6'8", and he really was the last guy that joined the squad pretty late in this process. He chose Michigan over Wake Forest, DePaul, and Xavier. And look, we needed another guy. We had a scholarship available. Khayat is interesting to me. I'm not sure if he'll get minutes, but he's an international player, and Michigan has done really well with international players over the past couple of years. The Wagners come to mind. And I don't know. He's a Lebanese dude, good energy. I could see him getting minutes for that shooting touch. He's a good slasher as well for his size, good ball handler, and can guard multiple positions on defense. So interesting freshman for sure. Gregory Glenn out of Calvary Christian in Florida. I don't know if he's going to get minutes freshman year. 117th ranked player in the country. Good rebounder, nice size. I don't think he gets minutes this year, but I think he sticks it out. He'll be a junior, senior upperclassman playing for Michigan. Will Cheddar out of Minnesota. Awesome energy off the bench. He is always screaming with the walk-ons, even though he's a scholarship player. And he is a good offensive player, can shoot the ball, very polished offensive game, but he's pretty small. He's not fast. He doesn't have a lot of the traits you look for in a Big Ten forward. Not a great rebounder for this level. So we'll see if Will gets in there. I'm not sure if he will. I think he's a fun player to have on the team. Probably a fun practice player. Definitely fun off the bench. And then Tarris Reed, top 40 player in the country. He was actually Michigan's highest recruit, higher than Jet. He will play. He will play. He will back up Hunter. He will put minutes in at the 4. Good rebounder. He is a good post game, good defensive player. I mean, very high recruit, and I think he will be an impact player pretty early. We'll see how impactful he is. I think it's always hard to expect too much out of your freshman early in the year, but I think he will become important late in the season when Michigan's making that push for the NCAA tournament. With his size, with his rebounding, with his physicality, Michigan doesn't have a ton of guys that are as big as Tarris Reed and as good at rebounding, so he will be important for Michigan. And that is the roster. These are the starters I got. These are the bench players. It's going to be tough. Missing a lot of guys from last season, missing a lot of proven talent, but I think there is enough on this roster for Michigan to do pretty well this year and make the tournament and have a shot at making it run in the tournament. So we'll see. But this is interesting. It's exciting. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. See ya.